When you're running a retrospective, you're not just gathering data for the next 2 weeks. If you've kept track, you're seeing workflow patterns. You're seeing iterative progress. You're seeing the effectiveness of a team and its working parts. Let's take a look at how running an effective retrospective can help with business analysis.
Why?
Well, so we can make better decisions for our business moving forward.
Why?
So we can make better products and get better results.
Why?
So that more people will want to do business with us.
But why?
So we can all keep our jobs.
But why?
So that we can all make money and afford to let... Whoa, kid, you're a genius. We should talk about the 5 whys.
Okay, that sounds cool, but why?
Okay, so the 5 whys is a method that we can use to get to the root of any problem. The idea is that you start with the problem, ask why it exists, and when you answer the problem, you just keep asking why until you get to the very root of the problem. The thing is, if we go with our first instinct every time, we might be correcting a symptom of the problem rather than the actual problem itself. Let's take a real-life example. Years ago, the Parks and Rec Department in Washington, D.C. were concerned about the amount of money being spent on maintenance cleaning the Jefferson Memorial. What was happening was the birds were using it like a giant bathroom, and the constant cleaning of bird number 2s was deteriorating the stone to build the monument. The park rangers, hoping to cut the hefty cost of maintenance, started by asking,
"Why are the birds treating our beautiful monument like a music festival porta potty?"
which is what I imagine them sounding like in my head. Well, as it turns out, the birds were feeding on the spiders that were living in the area. Now, typically you would say, okay, we need an exterminator, right? But the park rangers instead asked,
"Why are there spiders at the Jefferson Memorial?"
and they found out that the spiders were feeding on the insects that were all over the memorial. And you guessed it, they once again asked,
"Why are there so many insects?"
and it turned out that the insects were attracted to the lights that were left on to highlight the Jefferson Memorial at night. By asking why enough times, they found out that the birds were the symptom of the spiders, which were a symptom of the bugs, which were a symptom of the light schedule. Once they changed the light schedule, boom! No more bugs, no more spiders, no more birds, no more bird duties, no more excessive cleaning. To summarize, they cut 80% of the budget by flipping a switch. Now, I think this is the perfect example of why the 5 whys works. It shows that if you just dig a little deeper and then you just keep digging until you cannot dig anymore, you're more than likely going to find the thing that solves most of your problems. We're going to dive into how this is applicable to business analysis, but I think it's worth mentioning that this is a great way to solve just about any problem you might have. By not assuming that the first solution you find is the solution, you're going to quit diagnosing the symptoms of the problem as the cause, and you're going to save yourself a lot of pain and heartache in the long run. All right, enough of that. Let's talk about why it's good for business analysis. First thing I'm going to do is make a new retro board in Agilex called the 5 whys. I'll customize this board so that instead of using our regular 3-column format, we have 5 columns titled Y1 through Y5. We may not use all of the whys, or we might need more, but the important thing is that we're asking the question until we get to the root. Here's a conclusion I've gathered by looking at some former data from the last 3 sprints. For 3 sprints in a row, my team hasn't felt like we've been meeting sprint goals, while also feeling that too much work is piling up in the backlog. So we have an issue of not enough work being accomplished, and as a result, too much work piling up. Or do we? Let's start with one question for the team. Why aren't we reaching our sprint goals? Here's some of the responses. Tasks are bigger than previously assumed, workload is too much, and tasks take a long time to complete. Okay, so what we can assume so far is that we're biting off a little more than we can chew. Normally you might say, okay, let's loosen the workload, but that wouldn't really help us with the influx of tasks, so let's keep digging. We can take the first card here and change it to, why are the tasks too much work, since that seems to be the gist of the other cards. Now here are the responses I got from that. Each task feels like too many things. Lots of confusion on each task. Blockers. I feel like every task has at least 3. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. So now we know that the tasks are either too big or too confusing. Let's think of another why that might work for all of these concerns. How about this? Why are the tasks big and confusing? Here are the answers I got. Each task is too general or vague. Tasks are not specific. I have a lot of questions throughout the week. We're getting close. From here, I can assume that our tasking isn't very well defined. This might cause some tasks to seem like more work than they actually are, while others seem outright impossible to understand. Let's try one more why and see if we can't get this one in 4. Let's go with, why do we not understand the work in each task? And here's what we got. We don't spend enough time discussing tasks. Definition of done is not very descriptive on most tasks. Tasks need elaboration. And boom, there you have it. The weekly tasks aren't necessarily too much work, it's just that we don't spend enough time defining our definition of done on every task, causing the team to not know the scope of each task or generally just what they're supposed to be doing. Clearing this confusion should make everything feel less overwhelming and more understandable. If I had gone with my gut reaction, I would have cut the workload and we would have been doing everything even slower. And I don't got time for that, do you? I'm really glad that I dug a little deeper because what I can do now is extend my sprint planning sessions and my backlog sessions by like 15 to 30 minutes. We could spend a little more time well detailing our tasks and see if that doesn't clear up everything. Or in other words, I can flip one switch and clear 80% of the issue. Using your retrospectives as data points will not only help you overcome obstacles with your team, it'll improve workflow and productivity. Retrospectives can help you identify reoccurring issues, and utilizing the 5 whys can help you find the root of those reoccurring issues. Dig up the root and all else should follow. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful to you.